When the new Hunger Games movie was announced, I was full of hope that I wouldn't be bored out of my mind. To give some context, I thought the original Hunger Games movie was a solid introductory to the world of Panem and to Katniss Everdeen. The following installment, Catching Fire, built on and surpassed its predecessor, but that ultimately turned out to be the peak for these films, as Mockingjay Part 1 and 2 went down as well as a fart in an elevator.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
So now we have The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which one is a very long title, and two, I keep bloody forgetting its name, so just resort to calling it Snakes and Ladders instead. This film is a prequel where we see the early days of the Hunger Games as we follow a young Coriolanus Snow. Going into this film, I saw the 2.5 hour runtime and thought, damn, they're actually trying to get this whole book into one film? Now, I personally haven't read the book, but the film appeared to have some important segments cut out, especially in regards to the final third, where the emotional connection was severely lacking. So to be honest, it could have actually benefited from being longer. However, from what they cover here, it has TV series written all over it, because that way they would have that required time to flesh out all the details it's trying to cram in. And I think for whatever they do next, considering the format of these stories, that would be a good option going forward. On this film though, it was refreshing to see this dystopian world in a different era and follow a whole different set of characters. Francis Lawrence returns to direct another Hunger Games film, and that honestly was a shame because he's had a decent crack at it with the previous movies, and this presented a great opportunity to inject a new vision into this franchise. Something that was refreshing to see was Tom Blythe, who plays the young Snow, because he was the standout performance, as he confidently leads the film with a notable screen presence that I believe will serve him well in his career. Having said that though, he can only do so much, as by the end of the film, there is a lack of satisfaction in seeing the origin story of this character not get fully fleshed out. This is due to the third part of the film slumping to a conclusion that many in my screening never saw because they had already left after realising that they've seen the best this film's got to offer.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
A vital piece of the jigsaw for this film is the love story between Snow and a character called Lucy Gray, who's played by Rachel Zegler. Zegler burst onto the scene with her performance as Maria in Spielberg's West Side Story. However, here, she's playing an out of place and inconsistent character that she struggles to get to grips with. When we're in the second part of the film, we fully get into the games, and this is where the character is at her best because she is actually forced to stay focused. You may have heard that she does sing quite a bit in the film, and its inclusion was an odd choice that may work in the book, but it simply misfired on the screen, and in moments of supposed danger, it became pretty annoying.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
The film can repeat the Hanging Tree song as much as it wants, but when you have an undeveloped central relationship, I'm not going to connect with the story in those key stages, which then has a domino effect on the execution of showcasing Snow's descent, which really was a big draw to me for this film, to see how this character turns into the Donald Sutherland character we see in the other films. In terms of some other cast members, we have Peter Dinklage playing the troubled Dean Casca Highbottom. After playing such an iconic character in Tyrion Lannister, this sort of low energy performance could be met with disappointed groans, but from what we understand of the character, it seems pretty accurate. Viola Davis though is easily having the most fun out of the entire cast as Dr. Volumnia Gaul. Like, imagine a cross between Doc Brown and Ursula the Sea Witch, and you're not far off. Jason Schwartzman as Lucretia's Lucky Flickerman provides a couple of funny lines and some energy for the film. He's not a match for Stanley Tucci, but considering the bleak nature of the story, he is a welcome relief here and there. Ultimately, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes gets itself in a tangle, and so what seemed to be an intriguing tale just ends up being a lackluster grind to the credits. It's certainly not a complete failure of a film, and it's definitely better than some of the crap we've seen recently, but I think for those who have read the book, they will get the most satisfaction because they can fill in those blanks where the film failed to develop. To refer back to my hope at the start of the video, the first two parts do have some points of enjoyment, and coming back to this world did seem to show some promise. But once we enter part 3 and we see that title card on screen, it really does become a tedious watch where it fails to leave you fulfilled, and it makes you think, wow, how we've still got a third of this film left. Like I said earlier, I would be interested to see more from this universe and maybe in the TV show, because there they can really get into the nitty and gritty of the games at play there. because it would be interesting to see more of the games, but how you actually reinvent it is an interesting question, because we've had so many films now of the games and we've seen it a couple of times now in 2 different eras as well. So what can they actually now produce which makes us interested in that big spectacle? That's one of the big things about these films, is that we want to go and see that. That's a big part of the action of the film, but also then the behind the scenes, the politics behind it, and the actual battle between classes as well. So there's a lot to deal with here, but I think there is still potential for more to come out. But that's just my thoughts on the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. What were your thoughts? Let me know in those comments down below. And if you fancy another video, on screen is a review for the Marvels.